All right, man. Cheers.
Cheers. Clink.
Clink, clink, clink. Once again, wonderful Edo Kiriko glasses,
Very nice.
courtesy of our assistant. Thank you very much.
Yep.
Very
fancy.
fancy. I feel so fancy.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So today we're going to be talking about shukatsu, getting a job in Japan and the United States.
Yes.
Yeah. And we got some interesting comments about this, but
Yeah.
I want to start off with a story.
Okay.
Because I do not have many stories. You have all the stories, but now I have a story. So
I'm all ears.
you should. Yeah, never mind. I was gonna turn this into like an English lesson, but whatever. Yeah. So my hometown Boston is home to one of the major Japanese career conventions,
Okay.
job fairs in the United States. So of course there's lots of job fairs, job conventions in Japan for Japanese people, but overseas in America, one of the largest ones is in Boston. So I remember people from Seattle would go to Boston during the job fair season so that they could go to this thing.
Yeah.
And I'm from Boston. So this is probably like 2011, 2012 or something. But I have a few friends who come with me and they stay at my house. And every day they go into Boston with their black suits and shirts. Because in Japan, getting a job is like going for a school exam. Everyone does the same thing. You go to the same place. You do the same things. You try to answer all the questions. And I remember thinking, wow, I've never been to a job fair before. I'd like to go. I don't need to get a job. I'm going to start my own business, but I just want to see what it's like. And the problem is that I did not have like a black suit and a black tie at that time because I was fancy. I only did colors or grayscale. So I went in a white shirt with a gray suit and a red tie. And we got to the convention center. We took the train into Boston. We got there. And we start waiting in line for the convention center. I'm with my buddies. And it's a sea of black hair, black suits, white shirts, black ties. And then you have this one pale-skinned, gray-suited, red-tied dude. And everyone's looking at me like I'm an alien, but they don't want to be impolite. So they're kind of like just kind of looking at me like, why is this guy here? It doesn't compute. And then when the doors open, I go through and there's all these booths and they kind of go and they sit down for their interviews and stuff. And after about 30 minutes, I was like, this is boring. I don't want to do this. So I left. I left.
Sucks.
I waited for my friends to be done and we went to Little Italy and we got some pastries and that was great.
Yeah.
But yeah, like when I first experienced like the job hunting experience for Japan, I was surprised at how homogenous and how cookie cutter it was. Everything is exactly the same. You know, what's your impression?
No, I completely agree.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I immediately notice out of like new hires,
New hires
like at my school.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
One of the things that I immediately notice is people don't really have specified job roles.
Okay.
Right. If you're a new hire, you're just a new person and your role is kind of like what's like it's given to you.
Yeah.
Right. As opposed to like in the US, it's very I guess contractional.
Contractual.
Contractual.
A little contractual.
Whatever.
Okay.
Contractional. I know I said it wrong on purpose.
Okay.
I hope so. But yeah, it's very contractual, right? So like when you apply for a job, you're applying knowing a very specific parameter of what you're going to be doing.
Yeah, your role is
going to be
decided.
doing this, and this, and you're going to pay me this much.
Yeah.
This is what I'm applying for.
Yeah.
If I get hired, I'm going to be expected to do this, this, and this, and I'm getting paid to this much.
Yeah.
Right? That is like the foundational American experience when you're getting a new job, right? But it's not that way in Japan.
Yeah.
Right? I've never worked for like an actual kaisha. I've worked for schools, but in many ways they're very similar. So, but I'll give my experience, right? So what will happen is a new teacher will get hired on at the school. They'll go through several interview phases. Like they'll apply for a department. Like let's say they're a social studies teacher. They apply and they get interviewed by the department head for the social studies department, right? They go through that. They go through another interview phase with the upper faculty, like vice principal, chairman, like that group, right? And then there'll be like an overall vibe check, and they'll get hired on. However, that can immediately change, right? Let's say the same teacher comes on as a social studies teacher. That teacher just happens to be extremely proficient in English. Well, the school maybe needs an English teacher more than they need a social studies teacher.
Yeah.
Guess what that teacher's teaching? English, right? Also, there's like various like little like in the military we call it billets, right? And billets are like kind of like a small job within a job that you're responsible for.
Okay.
But there's like small little billet jobs when you're a teacher also that especially gets dumped on a lot of new hires where it's like, okay, you're expected to join clubs.
Okay.
Right? So you gotta go be in charge of a club. You're expected to maybe you get placed in like the PR department. So you gotta go to like Setsumekai and like do a lot of advertising for the school. It's like once you're at the job, you don't know what you're doing until it gets assigned to you.
Yeah.
Right? And that it as an American, I hate that so much.
Yeah.
Well, it's not what I'm used to.
Right? Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, so like the sense, the feeling is a little bit different because so like in Japan, the way that you get a job is you when you're about a junior in college or third year, you start to apply for jobs. You start searching, and then you graduate university, and then in what is it in around April? Around April. Then everyone who has gotten into the company, they all attend this like Nusha, whatever thing, like the ceremony orientation. And then they start their jobs. And it's like, instead of getting a job, they have joined a new company. They've joined a new group, which is funny because like in college, we had the same thing. You have orientation. You all come in at the same time. And then you just kind of like, they're your classes, go to them.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. No, it's definitely that way. Like, you have orientation where they go through and kind of explain everything.
Yeah.
And then, it's kind of weird that like it feels like there's just no training.
Oh, yeah, in a lot of places there is no training,
right? Like it's just like boom, figure it out. You know what I mean? And I feel like in more Western jobs, there's more of it's weird because there's senpai kohai culture here in Japan, but senpai kohai culture goes like translated into Western perspective. It's like mentorships.
Yeah, mentorship.
Right?
Yeah,
you have the mentor and the apprentice, right?
Yeah.
And that is assigned immediately at the beginning.
So this guy's your senpai. This is your kohai.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, cool. This is the guy you're going to be learning from him, become his shadow.
Yeah.
Right? From the very beginning. But in Japan, that happens, but I feel like it happens a lot further down in the process of things. Like that happens like a bit after you've started working at a place.
Okay.
And so I don't know if it's better or worse, but growing up as an American, I really it's so uncomfortable because I constantly have all this paranoia when I start working at a place that like I don't know what I'm doing and I feel useless.
Yeah.
Like you just get this panic like, what am I supposed to be doing?
Yeah.
So no one's telling me to do anything right now. You know?
So then how would a new graduate or someone in college get a job in the United States? What are the steps that they take?
Well, so here's the thing, like if they're just starting to think about that in college, like it's already too late.
Okay.
One of the really big things in America, and I mean, you know all about this, is like networking, man.
Yeah, the thing I did not do
Yeah, and it's like everybody in the US knows the best way to get a job is networking.
Yeah. Well,
Right?
can I just say something?
Okay.
So I remember, getting into college, right? You had a guidance counselor in high school who would
Yeah.
kind of tell you, okay, this is the process for getting
Yes.
job. And they do have guidance counselors in college too.
Yeah.
But I never saw my guidance counselor until I was like a senior because I never really understood it. But it was like in my senior year, because my parents didn't tell me about this, but it was in my senior year when I realized, oh, I should have been making connections with people my whole life, because a lot of American jobs are, you get a job in America not necessarily by applying, but because of who you know.
Yes.
You need to have an in there.
Like I think one of the really big differences I think between American and Japanese jobs is I think at a lot of American jobs, obviously not all of them, but it's like the company's hiring somebody that's already got the job,
Yeah.
right? It's like they've
They've already picked someone they want to hire, but for legal reasons they have to put the job opening.
yeah,
out.
you have to put the job opening out, and it's a lot of people complain about this in the US
Yeah.
also because they think it's unfair, and
Mhm.
I'd see their point.
Mhm.
But they get like 100 job applicants,
Mhm.
but they already have selected somebody.
Yeah.
They're just doing the applicants to make this facade
Mhm.
that they're holding interviews,
Yeah.
right? But really, what's happening in American jobs is, oh yeah, Smith's nephew,
Mhm.
graduated from this school, and Smith says he's pretty cool.
Mhm.
He seems like a smart kid, so let's hire him.
Yeah. Well,
Right.
like you were also a frat boy. You were in the fraternity system,
Yeah.
right? And so like a lot of people get jobs through the fraternity.
Yeah. So you'll get people that will come in and be like, I'm at, this company, and because of association, we're opening you up to,
Yeah.
somebody who's interested.
Yeah.
Come in and like we'll onboard you and try to get you hooked up with that.
Yeah.
That it's not just fraternities though. It's like everywhere,
Yeah.
man.
Well, it's
Like
yeah, go for it.
I like a really common one. Way more common than fraternities is just family.
Family, okay.
Right? I remember when I got out of the military.
Mhm.
So I'll go over, and I don't want to take too much time on this,
Mhm.
but I'll go over like my early adult life
Mhm.
jobs.
Okay.
Okay. I got out of the military and immediately started working for my brother.
Okay.
My brother owns a construction company.
Mhm.
I got hired on as a flagger.
What's that?
A flagger, the person just holding the stop
Okay.
sign.
Okay.
And I was making a lot of money. I
Yeah.
was making like $45 an hour
Really?
just doing that. It was
What?
crazy, dude. It's actually insulting
Was-
how
was
much
it-
money I made off
Was
that.
was that like the typical wage, or was that because you were his brother?
No, that was the typical wage.
Man.
It's because my brother contracts through federal.
Okay.
So
so he
federal
gets
contracts.
so he
And
works
federal
government.
Yeah. Government contracts pay out a lot.
Yeah.
And so,
With our tax dollars.
dude, oh yeah. I mean, it's not like he was wasting it. Like he was doing road construction
Yeah.
and stuff. But like, yeah, dude, flaggers were making 45. If you were like a regular, just like worker, you were making like $50 an hour.
Yeah.
If you were operating machinery, it was like $70 or $80 an hour.
Man.
It's like, dude, I went to school.
Yeah.
I went to college and got a degree to make half as much as I did taking an afternoon worth of class to become a flagger
Yeah.
and just work that job. Like
right.
I would literally be making double my salary if I was just a flagger right
Yeah.
now. But anyways,
Yeah.
so I worked for that. Then I entered college and I didn't have time to really do construction work.
Yeah.
So I did something that was a little bit more flexible with schedules, and
Mhm.
I worked for a app testing company.
App testing. Okay.
That I got hired because of my brother-in-law happened to be like the co-owner of,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
Or he was co-owner, or I don't know.
Mhm.
Anyways, he was like associated with
Mhm.
like the top guys, right?
Yeah.
And so all of my jobs,
Mhm.
including my current job at the
Mhm.
school I work now, I've gotten through networking.
Yeah. Yeah, so as someone from outside of Seattle,
Yeah.
but I went to school in Seattle, and if I'm 33 now, and if I were to talk to my 20-year-old self
Yeah.
to tell him, okay, you want to get a normal job,
Yeah.
not do what I did, but you want to get a normal job,
Yeah.
this is what you got to do. The first thing you got to do is, if you can't build these connections through acquaintances that you know, get an internship.
Yep.
Like I remember when all of my friends were getting internships and I was the only one not getting an internship, and they were like, Arthur, you're screwing yourself over. How are you going to get a job later? Because even if you go to a job fair, you know, they don't necessarily pick. Those are like the last picks that they do. Whereas what will normally happen is you'll apply for an internship, which is very easy to get, and you'll probably be doing stupid work like getting coffee or like maybe a little bit on the job stuff.
Yeah.
But you build connections with the people in the workplace. Yeah. And then when your internship is over, they'll vouch for you so that you can get a job there. Like,
that's the big one.
I have 3 friends who got a job at Amazon, and all of them had internships at Amazon before.
Yeah.
Hey guys, if you've watched this far, you're going to love our Austin and Arthur friends.
In the Austin and Arthur Friends, you're going to really improve your English listening, and I mean a lot.
Yeah. So for each episode, you'll get English and Japanese subtitles, so you can check your listening and comprehension.
You'll also get access to a members-only community where you can talk with us, the both of us. Mainly me, right?
No, definitely not. For more info, click on the link here or here or here, or in the description box of this video.
Thanks for being our friend.
Woo!
I have no friends.
No, it's the same thing. So another similar story. I have 2 friends who wanted to work for Boeing.
Okay.
One of them graduated from the University of Washington.
Good school, our school.
Our school.
Alma mater.
It was in the news lately because they decided to put it catch it on fire with like Palestine protests.
Ah, man, whatever.
Anyways, Seattle's a dumb place. So graduated from the University of Washington with an aeronautical engineering degree.
Yeah, aeronautical engineering.
If you're gonna pick a hard degree, like if you're like looking through the list of like degrees to pick that are just like, hey, do you want to suffer for 4 years and just have the hardest time out of anything?
Yeah.
Pick an engineering degree.
And UW is also known for its engineering.
Yeah, it's a top school for engineering.
Right.
Like University of Washington, it's actually ranked globally higher than Todai.
Yeah, right.
It's a good school, but especially their business, astronomy, and engineering schools are like top.
Yeah.
I think their doctor school also are really high. Anyways, or medical school.
Their doctor school.
I'm an idiot. I just graduated with an English degree. Anyways, but yeah, so graduate.
I just want to say, so going back to like orientation, right? You know how like in orientation, they split you off into groups, right? And like little cadres where you go through for a day or two. So just to tell you, I was the first person to ever apply to UW from my high school.
Okay.
And I told people, they're like, oh, where did you apply, Arthur? I said, I'm applying to University of Washington. They're like, oh, good luck in DC. So no, not that one.
Like, oh, dude, Washington pisses me off all the time. You talk to an East Coaster. Every time I say I'm from Washington, they're like, "Oh, you're from DC." It's like, fuck off.
Well, that's
we're the state, not them.
But in all fairness, DC has more cultural importance. I understand that.
Yeah, whatever.
But anyways,
like
so
for this stupid White House and like some other white buildings, I don't care.
Hey, dude, that White House is an important building, man. But so the reason why I picked that school, right, is because, first of all, I hated Boston.
Yeah.
And I wanted to get as far away from Boston as I could while staying in the contiguous 48 states.
Yeah.
It's 48, right? Yeah, because Alaska and Hawaii are so. Okay. And I couldn't go to California because like going to a state school in California is not reasonable for me.
No.
So and I found out that in Seattle they had tons of Japanese exchange students, and I wanted to study Japanese, so I picked that school. And so we're in this orientation cadre, and I'm with all these like local people who grew up in Washington State.
Yeah,
and we go around sharing our major. It's like, what are you? Okay, I'm a mechanical engineer. I'm a civil engineer.
Yeah,
I'm an aeronautical engineer. I'm doing bioscience. What about you, Arthur? I'm studying Japanese. It's like what?
Look at this idiot. this nerd just watches anime all the time.
Yeah, no, but it was so funny because like engineering, science. You, language.
Yeah, you're the Bachelor of Arts guy,
dude. That Bachelor of Arts is such a joke. Anyway,
it's such a joke.
Anyway, yeah.
Hey, so this guy graduated from the University of Washington.
Yeah,
aeronautical engineering degree, 3.8 GPA
out of 4.0.
Out of 4.0,
almost perfect.
Yeah. So basically, what that translates to is he basically had perfect grades except for like 2 classes.
Yeah.
His out of 4 years.
Yeah.
Which is substantially impressive.
Yeah. Especially if you're doing engineering, because those are hard classes.
My other friend got a 2-year associate's degree.
Which means he went to like a community college to get a general degree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then transferred to, I think, Western Washington University,
Okay.
which is another pretty
It's a
decent.
good school.
Yeah, it's a good school. Finished his degree and got like some just random, like, who cares degree,
Yeah.
right? It wasn't engineering.
Yeah.
Aeronautical engineering friend applied for Boeing, instant rejection.
Yeah.
Instant. It was like literally, it felt like the next day.
Okay.
They were like, no, God, no.
Yeah.
I'm not taking you.
Yeah, man. That's
Nice joke, man.
yeah.
Anyways, other friends who like went to the community college worked for a subsidiary company
Mhm.
for Boeing that was like assembling like wings for the 767.
Yeah. So not Boeing, but a company that works with
It was
Boeing.
like Boeing puts together all the parts, but like this smaller company makes the part
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then sends it to Boeing.
Mhm.
Worked there for 2 years.
Mhm.
After 2 years, guess what he became?
What?
An engineer at Boeing.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
You know, and it's all because of connections.
Yeah.
Like he knew that he couldn't get hired from Boeing, so he worked for a company that worked for Boeing,
Mhm.
got in good terms with them,
Mhm.
started associating with some of the Boeing employees that would go to his factory,
Mhm.
and all of a sudden those guys were like, "Hey man, yeah,
Good
you
guy."
should come work for us."
Yeah.
You know? And that's how you get the job.
Yeah. 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 It's funny how it's like, we talk about how America's like land of the free, where if you work hard enough, you can be anything.
Shit, man.
But a lot of you can.
Well, like, okay.
Working to make connections is also a type of work. But yeah, I remember I read a statistic somewhere that like Todai, Tokyo University, is actually the student body, the students, the population of students is actually very representative of the Japanese population at large as far as socioeconomic backgrounds go.
It is.
Where if you have if you're smart enough, you can go there regardless of your background. Whereas Harvard is really elitist, like the
Super elite.
And
yeah. It's crazy. Have you been there?
Dude, I live really close to there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been there a lot of times.
I mean, I've been to Stanford, and it's the same.
But it's funny because I remember I remember meeting people from Harvard for the first time, and my first thought was, "You're a Harvard student? You seem kind of normal."
Yeah.
When I talk to the MIT people, you talk to them, and you're like, "Wow, my mind is blown. You are a genius."
Yeah.
But anyways, so my family actually, my parents wanted me to apply to Harvard.
Yeah.
And I was like, "I'm not going to get in." They're like, "Yeah, but just try. Why not?"
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but what happened was so you apply to Harvard, but then instead of going through the normal process of checking your scores or checking an exam, one of the first things you do is they find a Harvard alumnus, someone who's graduated from Harvard near where you live, who's in charge of interviews, and you go to their house and they interview you. So like, I remember, so I lived in kind of a wealthy town when I was younger. There's this little peninsula where all the rich people live in their huge mansions or whatever.
Yeah.
And so they said, "Oh yeah, go see so-and-so in the rich area."
Yeah.
So I go to this person's house. It wasn't a giant house, but I remember I went to this old lady's house. She had like nice silver hair and like these big glasses. And she was telling me like, "Yeah, I went to Harvard in the 70s." And like, that's cool. And we were just talking. She got me some tea or whatever. We were sitting in couches together. And like, of course, your test scores were important. Like when we got to my test scores, she was like, "Oh yeah, you don't have a chance." But if my test scores were on par, a lot of it is like she has to vouch for you that you're good enough for Harvard,
Yeah.
And so they kind of force a personal connection like that. You know?
No, it's really important. It's I don't know which system. Well, you've kind of cheated the system.
I've cheated the system. I just
You're a self.
do you want A or B? I want C.
Yeah.
Well, so one thing though, I have to say that I like about when push comes to shove.
Yeah.
For me, for people like me, I would prefer the American system because you need creativity and you need freedom and dynamic thinking. Whereas for the average population of people who just want a job, the Japanese system works well.
I think I agree with what you're saying, but I think I would be more specific in the sense that if you're a person who is really drawn to knowledge, Japanese system works really well.
What do you mean by drawn to knowledge?
Drawn to knowledge as in, so the education system here is based off of tests,
Okay.
based off like exams, right? It's not based off of practicums, right? They're not really measuring your ability to do something. They're measuring your ability to obtain knowledge, right? And I think a person who fits and feels really comfortable in that system will do really well in Japan.
Yeah.
Right? Somebody who's like, look, you know what? I want to learn something by just reading a book. Right? I want to read a book and I want to study it and I want to learn it myself. Okay? I think that kind of person will do really well in Japan because that's how the society is set up here. If you're the kind of person who's like, I can't be asked to study. Studying just doesn't work with me. I'm a hands-on person. I want to learn something by working with it.
Yeah.
You're going to do really well in the US.
Yeah. Because you also need more of that individuality. And, personally, I really think that those two kind of mindsets really show themselves in the way that resumes are written.
Oh, like, completely.
Like, when you first saw a Japanese resume, what was the first thing?
Useless.
Okay. Can you elaborate on that? That was really fast.
No, they suck.
Yeah.
Have you looked at the resumes here?
Yeah.
They're crap. Talk to anybody. Most people agree the resumes suck here.
One thing that I was amazed at, though, is that all of the resumes are the exact same format. It's like the government has given a pre-made format.
There's like a registration form, and it's like it doesn't tell you anything about the person.
Yeah.
It just tells you about like their experience.
This is what I did. This is what I did.
Where I've been, right? But they don't tell me anything about what you've done.
Right.
And that is like, if I'm hiring somebody, it's like, what am I supposed to do with that?
Yeah.
Right?
Whereas like in the United States, like this is kind of how I learned. Let me see. That's good. Let me see if I can pull this up, So I remember like there are classes that will teach you how to write a resume,
Oh my God, man.
Let's see if I can.
It's like, look, how old am I? I'm 35 now. And like, I still feel like a complete novice with writing resumes. Like I've mentioned on the channel that I've changed jobs this past year. And so I had to update my resume. And so I was writing my resume and I spent days writing this.
Right.
Right.
Because the thing about the resume too is because in America, you format your own resume. So your resume kind of shows who you are as a person. So you need to make sure
competency as a person.
Yeah. Because if you can't make a nice looking resume, then what else can you do?
Yeah. No, it's so important to make a functional.
Yeah.
I really want to emphasize the word functional resume.
Yeah.
Because a person looking at your resume as a employer is going to be looking at like, okay, yeah, whatever. I mean, it's nice knowing about where you worked. What did you do?
Yeah. And like one thing though, I want to share here for everyone who's looking on our YouTube channel. Oh, oops. No, go back out. So one thing that's important here is you can see there's a ton of explanatory text here. Like at the top, they have kind of like a mission statement of this is what I'm good at. This is how I can be beneficial to your company. But then not only do they give the position here, they also say, okay, in this position, I accomplished this, I accomplished this, I accomplished this. Yeah.
And none of this flowery language crap like, oh, I worked really hard. It's like, it's none of that. It's very direct. Yeah. I was in charge of this project. I did this while doing this. Here are my skills. Boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
Like what systems did you work with while you were doing the project? Like there's so much detail about your ability.
Yeah.
It's like the entire resume is just talking about very specific details of your ability.
Yeah.
And I think honestly, like if you compare that to resumes that are traditionally done here in Japan, like I'm going back to what I said, and look, maybe this might be offensive, but I think the resumes suck here.
Well, yeah, because you don't really like know anything.
They're terrible.
So I recently just hired someone for like social media stuff who's like a new graduate, and she did college in Canada. She's Japanese, but she when she sent me her resume, she's like, "Hey, do you want my Japanese or my American Canadian resume?"
Yeah.
And so I said, let me see both of them.
Yes.
And like when I looked at the Canadian, American, Western resume versus the Japanese resume, like the Japanese resume was just like, I was in this class, I was in this position, I was this. Like I don't really know what she's done, what she's capable of.
Yeah.
You know.
You know what they kind of remind me of?
Mm-hmm.
They remind me of medical records.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like it feels very bureaucratic.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, so like what this kind of also goes into like what we were talking about before. When you join a company in Japan, it's like you're joining a club or a group, and there's no real specific rules, so you don't actually need that information.
Yeah.
Whereas in the States, it's very contractual. Like this is your position, you're doing this, so you need to know if you can fill that role or not. You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah.
No, it's so true. I know we're about to wrap up here, but like I just like it feels like resumes here in Japan are really great after you got hired. You know what I mean? It's like if your company wants to look you up and be like, oh yeah, what did so and so do again?
Oh, they did.
Oh yeah, they did that.
Yeah.
Right. It's like I get it. I understand why they're made that way, and I think it's that situation that they're made. But it's like for people applying for jobs, it's just feels like a waste of time reading them.
No, I get that.
Yeah.
But, well, this is good. I hope so. If you guys have any other questions about getting a job in the United States, we're kind of old now, so maybe the system has changed. But like, just shoot us a comment. You know, I'd love to hear about this. And if you have any other sort of ideas or questions you have, just let us know. I'm sure Austin would love to answer those too.
Or if you wanted this comment on my haircut.
Oh yeah,
I don't look like a bum anymore.
He went to the barber today, so
I actually got my haircut.
Yeah, you don't look like a homeless person.
Yeah, I was looking a little shaggy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's okay. I like shaggy.
Like I like having like an unkept look.
We kind of talked about that a little bit, but we could talk a little bit more about that next time or another time in the future. But
I like being rough around the edges.
Yeah, only you like that.
I think that is true. I think it is that true. I objectively look better when I actually put effort in.
Oh man. All right, man. I'll talk to you next time.
All right. See ya.
All right.